Hello everybody, my name is Zen and welcome to my first impressions of The King's Dilemma Chronicles. I was really excited to take a look at this game for one major reason. It's because this is a digital adaptation of a really cool board game that people, I think, overlook a lot of the times. And we'll get into a little bit of what the original board game is, talk a little bit about that with this epic music. But I want to make sure that you know that these are my first impressions of this game. I haven't seen anything past this screen here, and I'm excited to jump in and get started. So, what is the King's Dilemma? It's a so how do you put it? It's a political board game that makes you kind of feel like you're in the Game of Thrones world, with just how much political intrigue is going on. Yeah, you're having to cooperatively and competitively play against the other players. And every time you finish a game of the King's Dilemma, you move on to a new generation. I say generation with air quotes there, where the game continues the next time you play. Just you're further down the line in the generation. You add stickers and stuff to a board, and the story continues essentially, but you play again with the same house that you started with before. So I'm excited to see what this translates to. Warning, this game contains disturbing images and scenes of implied violence. There are references to slavery, abuse, racism, physical violence, domestic abuse, suicide, substance abuse, sexual violence, and limited gory imagery, human sacrifices, blood, that some may find distressing or disturbing. Player discretion is advised. None of the atrocities described in the King's Dilemma Chronicles are in any way endorsed by the creators and the distributors of this game. I think that it's important to note that you're not the most morally high person on this game. You may vote for things just because they favor you, and that's kind of the point of the game. You'll kind of see, I believe, if they keep it anything close to the original board game. Introduction. So, welcome to the Kingdom of Ankist, a place of daring expeditions, gruesome battles, and arcane mysteries. Located in the northern continent, by the way, this is a made-up fantasy world. It is not Game of Thrones, despite it being very similar in the political nature. Located in the northern continent of Lywick, Ankist is one of the largest kingdoms of the known world, but it's not the only one. The Kingdom of Mihir, I don't know how to pronounce that, to the northwest, advanced both culturally and technologically. The small and harmless kingdom of Sedalia to the south, with its stingy lands. The Republic of Kuopius to the northeast, with commercial abilities beyond imagination. Kind of getting the idea of the different houses. The Kusukian Empire to the distant east, where the emperor lives in opulence while the people struggle. The southern continent, barely explored, is only known for the fierce ivory desert and the tales and legends shared by the few foreign travelers venturing to our lands. That was a tough sentence for me. Ankist has been enjoying several decades of peace, but less than 2 centuries ago, it was divided into many small kingdoms and raider tribes, conquered in wars or united by diplomacy over centuries to be incorporated as duchies or marks. Little is known about what happened before this age of fragmentation, but what we know for sure is that all the lands of the known world were ruled by several lost civilizations throughout the ages. What caused these civilizations to fall is unclear. You are going to assume the role of head of the council, a governing body ruling in the name of the king, located in Libra, the capital city of Ankist. Before you begin, take a quick test to determine the house that suits you best. I love it. I love the heraldry and everything. The art for this is fantastic. It's what it is in the board game. In a financial crisis, it is moral to sacrifice knowledge in order. Oh, you guys are going to learn a lot about me. see, how do we play this? Now, here's the thing about this particular board game, and many board games like it, is if you have a group of people, I believe the original board game is like 3 to 5 players, with it being better at more players just because of the discussion that happens. It's a game of discussion and debate and bribery. But in these games, it gets best when you have people that really get into it and play a character, not play themselves. You know, obviously, you're going to come across people who are like, no, I'm always going to do the morally right thing. But is that right for the kingdom that they're playing? Is that what that kingdom would do? Not necessarily. So I find these games really fun when people get into it. So let's do that. Let's role play a little bit. What kind of character do we want to be? I don't know. We're going to find out these questions. In a financial crisis, it is moral to sacrifice knowledge in order to save money. Interesting. We're going to say no. The reason why, I feel like knowledge can get you money. You know what I mean? If you, and I don't mean like knowledge is power. No, like that BS. But like if you got dirt on somebody, you can get money from that. Click to hold. Okay. Is it okay to restrict certain religious practices that clash with the established cult? That's a good one. Is it okay to restrict certain religious practices that clash with the established cult? Yes. We got to keep those people in power, because we are likely going to put them in power. You know what I mean? I'm getting really kind of gross with this. I'm feeling like a little slimy. If a neighboring country gets invaded, do we step in and support them in real life? Yes. With Ukraine, we should definitely step in and support, right? But in this situation, do we? I don't think we do. Maybe we do. Oh, then they owe us. Ooh, I like that idea. Maybe then they owe us. Yeah, let's go I. With childbirths on decline, do we strongly incentivize families to have children? Yeah, we need people to work for us. Each house has a different long-term goal and backstory, which affects their mutual relationship and affinity. Select info to read more about 2 houses and make your choice. So we have 2 houses to choose from. We have Codden and Kron. So Codden, lots of information here. Oh my goodness. Forests grow strong. Dukes of Codden. That's their motto, is the forests grow strong. Along with the Anotos, the Duchy of Codden formed the original nucleus of the Ankis kingdom. The boundary between the blah, blah, blah. Let's just kind of go through this. Is a lot of reading, and we want to be able to use our time wisely for this first impression. When his daughter married the son of the king, Aenas, oh my goodness, I can't read that. Their heirs joined the 2 kingdoms, and the first seed of the kingdom of Ankis was placed. Because of this, your family has a privileged relationship with the royal family. When you join, you do so as an equal. As such, you wouldn't be vassals of the crown. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Okay, let's read Kron. What is now known as the oh my goodness, I can't read that word either. The problem is, by the way, if you're new to the channel, I have dyslexia, and a lot of these words just go right in my brain. Of Kron was once the heart of the ancient Sabaean League. When it was at its peak, in the following centuries, it fell into disgrace and became a poor country. So this is tranquility in death, is the Marquis of Kron. Okay. It fell into disgrace, became a poor country, but all this changed after you joined the kingdom of Ankis in the year 120. Your family had the opportunity to invest in mills and vineyards, turning your people's fortune upside down. The wine produced in your lands is famous for being the best in the kingdom. Also known as Drunk Skull, Kron has a terrible reputation for his bloodlust. The neighboring kingdom of Sedalia often complains of constant raids supposedly carried out by the... Ooh, so this is like, how warlike do we want to be? I don't know. I kind of like the idea of like having some political sway. So let's go with Codden. I guess I click to hold, double click, force grow strong. Oh, select, I see. It's like trying to find the correct, oh, you got push and hold. Finding the correct button to do there. A group of scholars in Liberia recently discovered ancient chronicles that ancient chronicles often blame a black circle, a dark rising sun, a cursed eclipse, or other similar images for causing the demise of many past empires. After observing similar clues in recent years, historians started speculating about the existence of a secret society that has been leading civilizations to oblivion for centuries. This organization is referred to as the Black Dawn. Ooh, that's cool. Good lore. Some think that they are a force of chaos. Others view them as an engine for creative destruction, and some view them as the heralds of a new dawn, harbingers of progress and change. Whatever their true nature really is, it seems that a huge battle is coming. As head of the council, you have the power to shape the future of this kingdom. But the Black Dawn is lurking in the shadows. Its existence is threatening and yet intriguing. Your role is to inform the king about the decisions of the council, but it is within your power to alter them if you so wish, provided you have enough power. Okay. It's time to begin. A new king is about to be crowned. How will the future of Ankist unfold? I'm excited to see how they do this. There's a lot of intro text here. It starts kind of slow, but they got a lot to introduce you to, considering it's an adaptation of a fairly complex but simple to play board game. The King's Dilemma. The trumpets strike 3 rising notes. An 81 and 81 tufts, wow, are released as Harold V is crowned king by prior mother of the cult. The people erupt in a cheer of joy. Our hopes of enduring prosperity are renewed with a new king. Foreign dignitaries from Kasich, Kupias, all the places, crowd the royal castle to evaluate the new king and win his favor. The ceremony is followed by a feast lasting for 3 days and nights along all the streets of Libra, our capital city. A week later, sitting on his throne behind the grand chiseled door of the council room, the new king addresses us for the first time. Any authority is flickering, and power can be a blessing or a curse for those whom it is exercised, he says. After a long pause, he adds, ruling is an unsolvable dilemma. I think that's the truth. Add to archives. Eclipse. So this is a power track. The Eclipse keeps track of 6 storylines of the King's Dilemma. Chronicles, advancing with each story chapter. When all stories are completed, the eclipse will end and the uprising will start. Continue. This is the map of the kingdom. I like the map art. It's really good. From here, choose your next dilemma from the sidebar. Change the zoom level between the entire continent, the kingdom of Ankist, and the capital of Libra to reveal all available dilemmas. These are the 5 resources that represent the status of the kingdom: influence, wealth, welfare, and knowledge. Interesting. I think that these had to have been the original ones in the board game. I'm trying to think if there was a difference there. No, I think it's the same. Every dilemma will move 1 or more of these resources, changing the stability of the current reign. So basically, there's like this middle track here. This is like middling. This is it's doing well, and this is it's doing poorly. And based on what you want to do, for your particular faction, you're gonna want these in different spots. The King's Dilemma. The High Commander has received a message from our. I guess we have to. Oh, I see. So we can select one of these 2. So if we go to the world, we can see King's, it's not gonna let me like zoom out here. The King's Dilemma, City of Tents. So this is Ankist and Libra. So this is like going from world to country to city. So that's kind of how this map is working here. Cool. So I think we just go ahead and do this dilemma, King's Dilemma. Okay, so the High Commander has received a message from our soldiers stationed at the troublesome northern border of the Mark of Torque. Scarum smugglers are offering to provide us a large quantities of red iron, a strange metal that can break even the strongest steel. Ooh, make us powerful. The army wants the majority of it, but there is a lot of money to be made by trading it. Do we reserve the red iron, a strong metal, for the army? So this is how this game works. This is the main mechanic, is you're just voting. It's just a voting thing, but you can bribe and you can spend power to decide whether you want to like go all in on something or not. To solve a dilemma, use your power to make the final decision after the council has gone through the voting phase. Approving the majority is free, but subverting it will cost you power equal to the difference in votes between the two sides plus one. So let's see, let's read that again to make sure we have this correct. Subverting it will cost you power equal to the difference in votes. So let's say someone voted 2 and then the other one was 3. The difference in votes is 1 between the two sides, plus 1 would be 2. Okay. Be careful, if your power reaches 0, the current reign will end. Solving a dilemma moves the resources on the track as predicted by the red and blue gauges. So these are going to move these two up or down. The amount by which a resource moves will be revealed after the vote. So do we reserve, we got to choose, like, do we reserve red iron or do we not? So by saying nay, we're going to gain, what's this? The wealth represents the amount of money, the royal treasury, the amount of luxury resources you have, the quality of life of the upper class, and your power to buy resources from other countries. This is influence, represents the strength of your army, your reputation in the eyes of other countries, how effectively you enforce the law, and the respect of the people of Onkist have for your leadership. So you don't want these to get too high and you don't want them to get too low. It hasn't really explained that. If they get too low, if everything like just drops below and it's all bad, basically the king is like kicked out of the kingdom, and that's not good for us. And if it gets too high, all of the allies of the king become too strong and the king basically gets kicked out of the kingdom, right? So you kind of want to keep it in a mid-ground. I think we us as our fake, thing that we're playing here, I think we want money. I'm going to go nay. A strong army requires a strong economy to fund it. The smugglers supply us with a constant flow of red iron from the mostly unexplored lands in the northern Fola Froir Mountains. A lot of proper nouns. The unusual metal can be sold to the highest bidders on the open market for an outrageous profits. Okay, the value of might. Smugglers provide a small but steady supply of red iron to the trade guild in Duin. New preparations available. The smiths begin experimenting with new ways to employ the robust metal, crafting tools, jewelry, and weapons for the wealthy. However, its sturdiness makes it difficult to cast into functional forms. Despite these difficulties, the Duin Trade Guild and our kingdom both benefit immensely from the transactions. Many among the wealthy nobility compete to acquire a few artifacts that the smiths successfully forge. Even foreigners from the south visit our markets to acquire the rare product. Ooh, I like that. I think I like the way that has worked out. So, continue. Do we reserve the red iron? Yes, so that goes up. Each time a resource moves, the stability marker, by the little balance, to the right will follow it. If the stability marker ever reaches either end of the track, the reign will end. You see what I mean? Keep all the resources in the highlighted area on the track to score more points when the reign ends. So you as a house could either want things to not be going so great in the kingdom because maybe that gets you more power. So there's basically 2 resources here. I believe it's like, I don't remember what they're called actually. I don't remember what the 2 resources are called, but basically there's like the kingdom is going good and the kingdom is going bad. And if you invest a bunch of these points, because each time we end a reign, we're going to gain certain resources if it's anything like the board game. And if we're doing a lot of these like good resources by the end of the game, in order to quote unquote win, we're going to want to make sure the kingdom is doing well. But if we've accumulated a lot of these bad resources, we're going to make sure that the kingdom ain't doing that great, right? So it kind of changes and puts you in what is essentially like a political party. I find that very fascinating. It's a really cool game design. So we have moved this up. That's fine. How do we want to play this? Like, I think that, okay, so we can look at our houses. So manage the council and review information about the houses of the kingdom here. Spend coins to replace council members and to form alliances when your relationship level with another house is maxed out. If you form an alliance with another house, your total power increases by 1. Alliances have other benefits, such as reducing the cost of corruption and the cost of replacing council members. Costs are increased for enemies. With your choices, you can try to achieve the long-term goal of your house and 2 secondary goals. Completing them will grant you more power, plus a bonus of cohesion or dissent points for the uprising. So our goals for our house: unite with another kingdom. Okay, we could do that maybe by like, I don't know, marrying people off. So actually, yeah, so that's us. Our nemesis is funny. That is Kron, which is the one that we could have chosen between. I think that's really funny. Secondary goals: fund the Lyra and Endgom statue, or use the waypointer for Pacific geographic purposes. Cool. Don't know what that's all about. We haven't gotten there yet. That's our info on our house. See here. So this is preparations. Oh my goodness. There's a lot of like just overwhelming nonsense on the screen at the moment. So this is the red iron stuff. Okay, so I can forge this stuff. Forge red iron Haubergians. A mail shirt forged with the ultra-resistant metal from Enkal. It's too expensive to equip every single man in battle, but it's perfect as a layer of protection for the most important inhabitants of the castle. It can withstand blows from daggers and short swords. Ooh, that's really interesting. I like that. So we can do that when we have enough this one and one of that. So I need one. Okay, I see. We can look at the other houses here. Remove council, reveal narrative goals, form alliance. So we can like straight up just like do some fun political moves here. We got a bunch of dilemmas that we can look at. What's a world thing? The City of Tents. Murano, a rich merchant from a remote desert city called the... Yeah, let's try this one. A rich merchant from the remote desert city called the City of Tents wants to negotiate a lucrative trade agreement. Among his samples of goods is a slave concubine in chains. He claims the woman comes from a desert temple that allegedly hides the golden map, a fabled item we've been seeking for decades. Many of our people are against slavery. Do we force Murano, a rich merchant, to free the slave? Ooh. With each dilemma, the time counter on the right will increase. When it reaches a space with the skull icon, the king has a 50% chance of dying, or 100% if it reaches the final space. This is yeah, so either the king dies for the time as well, so like he could be exiled, right, or he just like straight up dies. So we don't want him to die. Interesting. So what is this going to get me? Because it's got like a little leaf icon here. So this means our resources will go down, but our, what is this one? Our morale represents the happiness of your people. Yeah. How positive. Did I say moral earlier? I just realized that. It just dawned on me that my brain just kicked in. It was like, wait a second. You remember that embarrassing thing you did back in high school? Positive there about the lives and their condition, how much they believe in better future, and how much they can find relief in religion. Well, I think morale going up would be fine, but I really don't want my riches to go down, honestly, because I kind of want money as my thing. These other houses are showing what they're voting. So the pig people are voting aye, and these both are voting nay. If I vote aye, I'm going to have to spend power to try and win it over, I believe. So just for the sake of trying to see what happens here, let's go ahead and vote aye. We can't tolerate slavery. We force the merchant to free his concubine and send him away. This compromises our trade agreement, but our people rejoice that we stood up for the poor woman. Many are also excited at the prospect that she may reveal the location of the mythical golden map. Legend says it leads to an endless fountain of liquid gold. So, these are Chronicles. Solving certain dilemmas will have a permanent side effect on the kingdom. When this happens, a chronicle will be registered in the table above the resource track. Their effects, either positive or negative, are applied to the corresponding resources at the beginning of every reign. Positive Chronicles moves the corresponding resource up by 1 space, while negatives move them down the same amount. So, blah, blah, blah. Our choice to free the merchant slaves compromised the relationship with the southern desert lands before it even started. A diplomatic incident. Add to the archives. Sarah, the woman we freed from slavery, comes from a remote temple of the mother in the south of Maradi, which we call the Ivory Desert. She says the golden map is guarded by the temple. Sarah was kidnapped and enslaved by her former master while visiting the city of tents. Her story becomes quite popular in the kingdom and spurs a burst of interest in the unexplored southern continent that she calls Conferta. Sarah claims that it is the land where the ancient Sabaean League once prospered and fell. Our scholars immediately start preparing a caravan to retrieve the golden map and take Sarah back home, but traversing the Ivory Desert, famous for tempests of burning white sand, will not be easy. That's cool. Can I not see what like each one of these is? It's interesting. Okay, continue. We force Murano, a rich blah blah blah. Yeah, see freedom. That went down, that went up. Your morale alignment determines which rewards you'll get at the end of each reign. The rewards can be coins, prestige points, or crave points. That's what it is. Prestige and crave. It's like the kingdom is doing well, or you're helping the kingdom do well. I think it's a better way to put it. Or you're a greedy little man, right? The resource track highlights the target area to score points. The more resources in the target area, the more you will be rewarded. Right. Resource track. I gotta read this again just to get it around my head. The resource track highlights the target area to score points. Okay. The more resources in the target area, the more you'll be rewarded. Above the resource track, there is a preview of your rewards based on the current position of the resources and morale alignment. So, or moral alignment. Morale. I don't know why my brain is doing that. So basically, I got nothing in either one of these tracks, so I ain't scoring no points. Okay. We'll get there. So, caravan of scholars seeking to blah, blah, blah. So we can actually keep going down that path. We still don't have enough stuff for this. That's totally fine. Do we want to try and go into the desert already? Let's do it. I think this will be interesting. A distant reward. The caravan of scholars seeking to retrieve the golden map is constantly threatened by desert raiders and is struggling to move forward. If we don't send them military aid, they'll be forced to deviate to the city of tents to stock up on supplies and hire mercenaries. Do we send reinforcements to the golden map expedition? Relationship with the council. When you vote against a council member, your relationship will worsen and they will eventually become your enemy. Voting in accord with a council member will improve your relationship, and if it reaches the maximum level, you can spend coins to form an alliance. So we really want to kind of figure out what these nerds do. Like, if we vote against our enemies, then fine, we're voting against them. Like, I don't care. They're my enemy. But like this person, I'm pretty in cahoots with so far. This person I'm pretty not. Well, I mean, I said pretty, not by much. So by going I, our morale will go up. By going nay, things will go down. I kind of want them to go up at the moment. So this is spending power to vote nay, I believe. Let's vote I. We send our troops to support the caravan. Thanks to the help of the army and the guidance of Sarah, the scholars finally reach the remote temple of the Mother in the middle of the Ivory Desert. Soon we'll discover if the golden map is really there. Unfortunately, fatigued by travel, Sarah dies before she can see her home again. Oh, that's sad. A chalice in the desert. After wandering for days, our expedition sights a rocky plateau protruding from the desert, the ruins of a temple atop it. Our scholars think it dates to the time of Omad, the first king, but it was pillaged recently. Inside, they find the dried corpses of dozens of sand priestesses, an opulent version of the cult of the Mother that, though we worship the same goddess, had lavish ways in stark contrast with the sober purity of our cult. What this game could use, and what benefits a digital medium, is a what's the word I'm looking for? Not a resource guide, but like a like a dictionary where I can hover over the cult of the Mother and it would give me information on what that is, right? Because my house would know what that is, right? I should be able to look up stuff like that, or just like be able to look at that quickly. Because then, for one, it would make it easier for me to convey what the heck is going on here, and then two, if you're a new player to the game, you'd be able to click on it and figure this stuff out fairly easily. Plenty of games do this, like heck, even Pyre does this, which is made by Supergiant. Like, you can click on stuff and figure out like who is who, because you can click on proper nouns or stuff like that. The ruins surround a huge oasis, and based on rough interpretations of ancient inscriptions in the altar hall, it was called Chalice Peak. Most of the temple's riches were stolen by raiders, but the inscriptions suggest a bigger treasure may be hidden in a secret chamber. Add it to the archives, baby. Blah. Did we send reinforcements? We did. If a resource is moved twice in a row in the same direction, it will move one additional step. Fancy. The icon color will show you the last direction that resource moved. White if moved up, black if moved down. After the second time a resource moves in the same direction, it will gain a momentum marker and move 2 additional steps. So that's something you got to be aware of. Like, if you're trying to adjust your resources and gain specific things, you don't necessarily, like, there are going to be times where you vote nay on something that you might normally vote yay on something just because. And that is the complexity of the political set of this game. There's a lot going on with it. So from here, we can get our breakdown of like who's whom. These people, meh. These people, huh? Narrative goal, we don't know it. Nothing is as it appears, from Salad. Their nemesis are the pig people. Is it pig or porcupine? Actually, I think it's porcupine. I think this is like so interesting. There's a bunch going on here. We got our archives here, so basically this is just a bunch of information that we can go ahead and read if we happen to have missed a bunch of stuff. And we're just constantly getting more and more dilemmas here. What I think is unfortunate is what's missing from this game is the interaction with the other players. The reason these are interesting, the reason reading through the dilemmas are fun to do is because you have a moment, or more than a moment, after you read it, you have to decide yay or nay, and the other players, when you're playing in a game with other people, obviously have to discuss it and say, why. They may not have to say why, but, they may choose to be like, no, I am voting for this thing, especially if they're like role-playing, because these people believe in this and we want to do this, and they may really be trying to prove their point, and if they want it really to go through, they will use their money, because that's what the money is used for in the game, to bribe other people and be like, well, I think that you should do this, and I'll even give you a little bit of money to try to get you to do this one thing, to vote yay on this. And it's that discussion that interpersonality thing that's going on between the players and the role playing that you could do. And even if you choose not to do that, just the interaction with people that makes this interesting and fun. And in this case, we don't really have that. I don't know who these other houses are. I'm not getting any indication of who these people are. And that's simply because I don't have other players conveying that to me. Whereas maybe a player playing this Tyrell house is, a different, they're playing it differently than a person who is playing the house normally would play it. But like, if you look at the narrative and secondary goals, you're going to try to fill these things out, and that will lead you down a route that makes it kind of similar to how other players would play it. So it's fascinating that we don't actually have other players to communicate with here, and thus we don't have a way of showing like what's going on between the houses. It's just kind of thrown in there. I think that's what's lacking from this. Though I do believe the fantasy narrative here is really strong and it's really well written, and like we're learning about this thing in the desert and it's interesting to go do, and I'm really fascinated to keep going down that path and try to figure out what's going on there. But does it matter to me? Does it matter to me because I don't have other players to interact with? And this game would be great if it was multiplayer, if I could jump on and play with 4 other people on Steam. I think that would be a lot of fun. But then you're getting into the whole situation of playing Gloomhaven on Steam as well. Like, playing Gloomhaven and Frosthaven in person are great experiences, if not a little annoying to unpack and pack the game each time you play. But if you are playing a game like this over Steam, that means you kind of have to get people to show up consistently to keep coming back to play all the way through it. And maybe you have a group of friends that can do that, maybe you don't. So that's why this single player experience is a lot of fun and has a lot of good stuff to it. But I think we're missing the personal thing going on here. I like that we could like jump between the map locations and see where all of these things are, and you get a better idea and sense of the world. But you're just missing that, the personalities that come through in the voting part, which is the main crux of the game. And if you're missing that, it kind of misses out on things. I think my first impressions are, with this digital adaptation, if you're interested in the story and playing through like a very political Game of Thrones-y type thing, then and also like making allies and whatnot, I think that's cool. It's fun. It works. But if you're looking for that multiplayer option, you may as well just go pick up the board game. It's not that expensive. And in fact, if you're not even sure whether or not you would be interested in the board game itself, I would actually recommend going on YouTube right now. And if you've never heard of Shut Up and Sit Down, they are a board game review site podcast, and they do YouTube videos, and they're quite funny. I would recommend going and watching their review of the King's Dilemma board game and see if that is interesting to you. And you're going to want to ask yourself the question, do I have the friends to play this? Do I have the right group of people to play this kind of game with? And then just pick that up and play with them. And I think that you would get the same experience, but better. You would get that interaction. Otherwise, playing here through this essentially a single player story campaign is really niche. It is very niche. And would I personally play all the way through it? I think I would prefer playing with other people. So I may just resort to the full board game experience, but this is fun, and it is cool that it has been translated to a digital format that I think does work. So it's really just based on your preference. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought of this in the comments. Was it your thing? Was it not? I assume that for a lot of people, it's not going to be. And it's going to take a person who's really interested in political, complicated stories to get into this kind of thing. But if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe, because I upload every single day and have not missed a day for over 11 years. With that being said, thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you all next time.